Generic greetings and welcome back to Satisfactory. You join me in the dark, which is handy because that's where I do most of my best work, and we're heading back to the oil. I guess we can't really call it a pipeline because there's no pipes involved. However, it certainly is the oil supply, which we left off because we ran out of resources. As you can see from this, right then, where are we at? Yeah, not bad. Alright. I spend quite a lot of time waiting for the resources to flow, and we now have a lot of steel. Specifically, hang on, how much do we have? We have a lot. The majority of our bag is devoted to this steel beam. In fact, we'll find out when we do this. We have 1,261, which I am hoping will be enough to get at least one of these lines back to the base. However, you will also note from that time-lapse that we have a little bit of an issue, and that's the supply of coal is not sufficient to have all of those steel production factory things, constructors and smelters and all that going in one go. So I don't know whether that's an extraction problem, whether we're not extracting enough or we're not bringing enough back via the truck. Now, the only real solution anyway in the future would be to either completely use belts, which I am not keen on because I do like to use those trucks, they're fairly cool, but also if we get to the tier 4s, I don't know if that will solve the problem. Another point as well is that once we've got this oil, this will resolve hopefully a lot of our issues because we'll get a lot of the resources from it, so we'll get like the rubber and the oil and all of that sort of thing and the fuel, and that means that we can then use the better vehicles, so we can build the better vehicles, which is what we'll be doing, and then replacing both supply lines of coal and changing it up so we have those new vehicles. At least that is the overall plan. So let's just continue on, as I said, with this oil stuff. And where did I leave the vehicle? It is here. If we get it back to base, I will be elated and also shocked. I don't know if we'll get it back to base, actually. With over 1,000 resources, we will hopefully make it quite a good way. Let's just jump out of there and let that ghost along because we just want to place a pole. From there, we could probably get it to about there, I think. Obviously, double stacking these poles, and in the future, we will come down and we'll make sure we can have a... is that in the right orientation? It is not really in the right orientation. We'll go down and make sure we can have a double stack of it because that's what we've planned off. It's just at the moment we don't have that. We don't have that capacity because we didn't have enough steel to fully build that. But at least if we get some resources down, then we can work on the other stuff. Although at the moment the plan is to get these resources back to base, start production on something, whether it be just a bit of fuel, a bit of rubber, and a bit of plastic, and then we need to use those resources to get better trucks in order to carry the coal, which means steel will then speed up, and basically the rest of the production line will catch back up because at the moment it is lagging behind somewhat. I reckon that placement there is just a little bit too far. No, it's proper on the edge though. There we go. So you can see it doesn't take too long to get quite a ways, especially considering that we're having to place these struts in as well. But you know, the vehicle is getting left behind very quickly. So we're going to go down, and I believe this is where we've got the water anyway. So actually, oh, in fact, there's our other vehicle. You can see it just driving past there, which is excellent. So this is where we are now. Oh, this is where we have a bit of a problem. We need to cross this. We need to cross this river, and it's not really a massive issue, obviously, because we can just use these struts. In fact, that's exactly what we'll be doing. We're just going to bend it round this away and then over here, and obviously this is well out of the way of the truck anyway, so that should be fine. And I will connect these up before I do anything else. So let's just check to see if these are all in the right order. One thing that I didn't mention but should, and it's always an advantage to do this, is that obviously we've got the product coming along this line, and sometimes that's annoying if you have to delete stuff. It ends up going in your inventory and you get like barrels and stuff, but I always think that's a good thing, because it means that if you get to a point where, for example, you place a belt, well, I'll show you. Actually, we can't build that. No, we can't. Good job I have a truck full of the resources we need. Yeah, if you build, for example, these poles here, and then you go from that side to that side, that does change the flow of it. Now, normally when you connect up to a machine or a splitter or a combiner, the orientation will change based on what you've clicked on it, so the belt will change, whereas this, with a straight belt to belt, it doesn't, so that stops flowing. So you can see along the line if you've made a bit of a mistake. So that's important to remember that, and just a bit of a, I think it's a bit of a tip. Or a neat trick, shall we say. So there and there, and let's see if it connects up. It does not. It's just too far out. Okay, so we'll place this in here. And obviously we're crossing the river right next to the bridge. There's no point in using this bridge because we've already got vehicles coming along it, so I don't want to block the bridge up with a pipeline. I mean, it might not hit. I think we did drive over centrally, but just in case we didn't, it's best that we avoid this. Speaking of avoiding, let's not crash into that. What I'm going to do is just park this off on the grass verge here and just sort of stop it there. And then pick up some of the barrel nuts, and then we'll continue on. So following the same pathway as before, we're just going to come along to this side of the road. I will try and keep it well away from the road, because the way the truck works is by a waypoint system rather than the exact route you drove, so it means that it might sometimes go interesting directions that you didn't exactly foresee, or maybe you did, if you have plus 10 levels of foresight. Now, what I'm going to do is get out the butchering device, and we're going to start chopping up these trees, because we want to, like say, forge a path along the side of the road. So we'll clear these out, and obviously we can probably just get rid of a lot of this stuff anyway. We don't need all of this. Let's see, how much have we got? We've got loads of this. Now we'll get rid of that, put that on there. We don't need that, don't need that. We've got so much of the wood and other things just lying around. So let's just place that up here and connect all this up. Obviously going back and connecting this stuff up will be a bit of a task, and I'm not relishing that, quite frankly, but I'll almost certainly do that while... Oh, that's a problem. It's going to go straight through that. I'll almost certainly do that while we're not recording and whatnot, because just running back to build the exact same line that we've done is not entirely interesting. Not that I understand that this may be of great interest, but at least it's progress nonetheless, and it's new resources and a slightly different path. So I'm going to probably chop that down. I think that would be of some use, and the truck's driving right past, so hello, and there we go, and there's that cleared, and we'll do the same to this one. There we are, and then we need to come over to here, and then we'll bring it along. In terms of resources, I've used only a couple of hundred, so it's actually a lot less than I originally thought, which is okay. Now the question is, do I want to head off the beaten track now? I don't know. Well, what I do want to do though, before I forget it, I want to go and get Trucky, because they're back here. Yeah, this route here, 100% is much easier to navigate and to bring the resources through, rather than the other one that I attempted. Not on the series, you understand, just in a co-op game with a friend, where we had to go through multiple biomes, multiple dangers. So there was gas, there was big beasties and monsters trying to eat everything, which is including but not limited to our face, legs, arms, spleens, internal organs, everything else. So yeah, we had to sort of go down all these different things. There was waterfalls, there was sheer cliffs, there was the terrain was just silly when it comes to its undulation. So yeah. This way, highly recommended. Although this one doesn't have nowhere near the amount of resources as the other one had. The other one has, I think it's like 5 or 6 iron. Sorry, 5 or 6 oil supply, whereas we've only got 2, perhaps 3 if we go a little bit further. So yeah, I guess there's some advantage to going that way. So speaking of going away, I think we're going to probably take a little bit of a detour here. And, oh, actually, we'll probably take a detour there and follow that down. And, I do want to follow that one down. I'll follow the other one down. And that'll get us to hopefully where we need to go. So we'll connect these up. Like I said, double stacking them simply because if I don't do it now, I'll have to do it later. So we might as well put the infrastructure in now, knowing that we're going to add more anyway, than having to lazily stack them one high and then coming back to stack them up above, because stacking them above when there's already a line on the bottom is a bit annoying, because obviously you're then fighting what's already there and your viewpoint and such, which is where the whole extra dimensional 3D effect comes in. You know, obviously things like Factorio, top down, easy to see, easy to do, very readable. This one, you've got that added dimension of I'd say annoyance. It can be. It's you know, it's just a different beast. You gain more, well, good views like that, for example, but you lose out on other things. Also, there's a temptation to, even though you are in a 3D space, the temptation is to build in a 2D plane, and that's pretty much what we've done here. I mean, this actually, do we want to go that way? No, I don't. I actually want to come up this way. It's what we've done here, really, when you think about it, because we haven't really double stacked anything. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't built. If we look at in things like walls, we've got all of this stuff here, and foundations, and there's no roofs actually, but you can just use the foundations and the slopes. But you can make huge actual factory buildings, which we haven't done. It's something that just sort of flat out went, nah, I haven't bothered, just because we've got such an open plane, and there has been people who've made completely square factories, which is really cool. So it's just a big cube, just a big sort of monolithic colossus of a cube just sitting in one area, and yeah, that's where they've then made this this massive factory, like a warehouse and factory and everything else in one bit, and it looks really, really cool. So you can see the oil is now coming down, and we're just sort of kinking to the right here. We're actually out of concrete, but that's not too bad, because I believe... Oh, do we actually have some in here? Was I thoughtful enough to... yes, I did have the thought to place that, which is very unlike myself. There we go. And we'll bring it along here. And is that about it? Okay, and then really our production will start maybe in this corner and go that way. I don't think that's unreasonable to assume. I wonder if this is... yeah, it's long enough. So we've used, what, about 700-ish? I think it's about 700-ish resources. Which is not magnificent, but it's not terrible either. So, that is our last pole, I think. And there we go. That is the start of our oil production. So, what do we need? Well, crude oil comes down. It is then split into many things from a refinery. So we will plonk a refinery down, and it's of some increased size compared to a lot of the other buildings that we have. We're going to, well, for a start, get rid of that and all of that, and the rest's fine. And we'll check. We can do plastic, fuel, and rubber. Now, each of these require different resources. So the plastic and the rubber require 4 crude oil, 30 a minute, whereas the fuel is 60 a minute. Okay, so you can actually get a lot of plastic and other things, can't you, from this? So you could have, say, 4 refineries for plastic. That's 12. Well, 120, and then 4 for the crude oil into rubber. So that is producing... That's just one line, and the other is fuel, if you wanted to. And remember, we've got another spare line. Well, at the moment, I don't need fuel. Fuel is not an issue. What is an issue is... well, what is an issue is over here, which is the supply of coal. But I think we'll focus on... We will focus not on that yet. What we need to do is get a total of 8 refineries up and running, which requires mortars. We have a stupid amount of mortars. It requires steel pipe, same deal. It requires cables, which we do have, and heavy modular frames, which we do not have, and also we are not yet automating the process. So that is something we need. Also, we need screws, which we don't have a lot of, because that's what you need for heavy modular frames. So I'm going to pick up these, and then I'm going to see if we've got any spare screws. One of these boxes will have spare screws in them. I am convinced. Oh yeah, yeah, there's some amount of spare screws in there, that's for sure. Okay, so we'll go to craft bench and we'll place one in here. And we're going to see what we require for heavy modular frames. It is pipes and... a lot of frames, actually. Yeah, okay. So we need modular frames. Don't need that. Don't need those. Do need those. And we need the girders, don't we? The reinforced girdery bits. Yeah, okay. So that's up at the top. So we're going to go and check that out now. And then that'll give us the resources in order to craft our refineries. The problem with that is, what's our power situation? Let's have a gander. A butcher's. It's actually only halfway. I'm guessing that's because a lot of these things are not producing anything. Okay, let's go up, and I will now turn back on this thing. This is something I knocked off. I put it on standby. No, because I didn't put it on standby. No, that's the mortars. That's why. I definitely didn't put that on standby. I'm sure I put this one on standby. Yes, I did. This is the encased industrial beams. So let's place that there, and we will start crafting. So, heavy modular frames. We need to automate this process, but not to automate this process, as we've seen before, we need an assembler, not an assembler. What's the thing called? We need a manufacturer, which requires, is that computers? It requires computers, and computers require plastic. Well, actually, they require plastic and circuit boards require wire and plastic. Oh my good grief. I've just realised the logistical nightmare that we've caused ourselves. Although we are bringing wire across there so we can split it up and it goes back in, so it's not too bad. Okay. Right, so we need more pipe. If there's something we have, it's a lot of pipe. So we'll pick up said pipe. I'm actually going to pick up some more because we're going to be using some more. And let's just create some more of these heavy modular frames. We only need one more. So there we go. So that is hopefully enough for us to build those. It does state that we have enough, so that's fine. So let's crack on with that. So remember, this is just one of the lines coming down, and we're going to get 8 refineries off it. The other one is going to come down and either produce fuel, or realistically, we're probably going to produce some more. We're probably just going to have some more refineries, but we'll refineries to do plastic and other things. So I'm going to rotate it around so it's roughly lined up with that, just because it'll need to go parallel to it. There's no, sadly, exact parallel to it, and we'll start placing them. We might as well just place them over here. Actually, we'll give it a little bit of a gap, and then we'll start placing them from this corner, because that's our finite level, because we have, after all, a mountain there. Well, not a mountain, but a bit of a rocky outcrop. There's 4. This is going to be big. 5, 6, 7. It's going to be tight. Well, it's in. Okay, let me just remove some of this and redirect this because it's not in really an area. It's not far enough away. And curve it round and then bring it to about there. Okay, that should be better now. It's amazing just how many resources you can use. Obviously, this is only the tier 6 resource, really, or 5 and 6. After this, when you go to 7, 8, 9, and 10, you've got a lot of other stuff, which isn't yet in the game, you understand, but anyway. So, we've got 8, so we need to start splitting, and we need a lot of splitters. So, this will come down, and we'll put it roughly in the centre, and I do stress roughly. Line it up to the centre one, not that we need it. Well, actually, no, we'll line it up. We'll work it back over, so it'll be... Actually, it'll be quite simple. It'll be those two. So those two, and then... those two. Those two. Hang on, I messed this up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ah! That's... I was going to say, what's going on here? I don't have enough. That's because these... There isn't enough of these. Oh, how the hell am I going to fit another one of those in? With great difficulty? Do I want to shift this? I really don't want to shift that. That's not going to happen. Okay. Mulligan. We'll put them further forward and have some more gappage. And it should still function properly. Just going to be very, very careful of the tolerances. That's 2, 3. Come on. 4. 5. Not going to be able to fit them in again. Oh, that one there's. That's there. We're okay then. Look at that. It's not lining up at all. Don't know why. 6. Hang on. Let me count these again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. And then 8. And we should have enough space. Yeah, we do. It's actually further forward anyway, so it's going to fit in. Right, now we can go back to number 9 and then put the splitters in. So for the inputs, let's line these up. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so we can use... well, what are these going to be making? Plastic? Actually, no. Probably rubber for those. 4 rubber, which is 12. Well, 120. And then plastic. Okay. And this is going to come down and start splitting. But we need to split it twice and then twice more, I think. So, roughly in the middle. Actually, that's dead on in the middle. 1 there. A lot of wasted space here, I understand, but it's a bit of a shame. So, in there. And then split it, and because it's going half and half, we only need tier 2 belts, because it's 120 resources a time. And then haven't got enough of that, but I do have loads down the bottom. But that good grief, look at the state of that. I didn't realise just how I guess resource dense that is. But then again, I don't know what we're going to use. Like, I don't know how much oil and such we are going to use. And how much plastic and stuff we need. I'm guessing it's quite a bit. That's the scientific term. Some amount of. How's the coal supply for me? Coal supply here is good. So coal supply to the power plants is alright. Yeah, we're hovering around that 500 level, aren't we? Yeah, 580 there. Okay. It's not a massive issue. But I reckon once we put all these on, it'll become an issue. And all of the fuel stuff, all of the oil and that, and things will go along here. It means having to turn it that way. The whole thing will have to go on its side and then start working its way up there. Not that that's a great issue. We can always change things if need be. Nothing is set in stone here. That should be everything. So that should be a decent split. So it comes down here, it's halved. It then goes into these, which is halved again, then goes into them, which is halved again. But the supply should still be correct. Okay, let's blow up the power grid then. So one. Yes, that's those two, those two, those two, and those two. And whoa, sitting on that line's an issue. It's a whole meta game within itself, really. Trying to stand on these lines. And where do you want to connect it up? Probably at this end. Power grid offline. There was a little bit of a spike there, wasn't there? Did you spot it? And there we go. There is our refineries doing what they do best, which is refine. They're quite large as well. They do look cool. Right, we're going to leave it there. We're now getting plastic. We're getting, I'm guessing rubber as well. We're getting rubber. I don't know if this is the final division of what we need. I don't know if we need more rubber than plastic, and there goes the grid. I don't know if we need more rubber than plastic or vice versa, whatever, the other way around. What we'll have to see. But next episode is really, I think, focused on getting more power, because that's just blown the grid and we knew it was going to. So we're going to expand this along, getting all of this increased, and then I think we're going to upgrade the trucks, because now we've got the plastic and the other things. We can then create, by hand, you understand, these things, these bigger vehicles, which are a lot more robust as far as I can tell, and also carry more. So we'll have to see how that one goes. As always, hope you have enjoyed the video and the series thus far. Thanks very much for watching. Take care, and generic partings.